Unabridged County, Virginia, in the year 1816. He went to Texas in 1836, a few months after the Battle of San Jacinto, for the purpose, he says, of taking pay out of the Mexicans for the murder of his brother and his cousin, Major Wallace, who both fell at Fannon's Massacre. He says he believes accounts with them are now about square. He landed first at Galveston, which consisted then of 6 groceries and an old stranded hulk of a steamboat used as a hotel, and for a berth in which he paid at the rate of $3 per day. From Galveston, Wallace went on to LaGrange, then a frontier village, where he resided until the spring of 1839, when he moved up to Austin, just before the seat of government was established at that place. He remained at Austin until the spring of 1840, when, finding that the country was settling up around him too fast to suit his notions, he went over to San Antonio, where he resided until he entered the service. He was at the Battle of the Salado in the fall of 1842 when General Wall came in and captured San Antonio. The fight began about 11 o'clock in the day and lasted until night. General Wall had 1,400 men, and the Texans 197 under Caldwell, commonly known as Old Paint. Between 80 and 100 Mexicans were killed, while the Texans lost only 1 man, Jet. 40 men, however, from LaGrange under Captain Dawson, who were endeavoring to form a junction with them, were surrounded and captured by the Mexicans, who massacred them all as soon as they had surrendered their arms. In the fall of 1842, he volunteered in the Mir expedition, an account of which appears in this volume. After his return from Mexico, he joined Colonel Jack Hay's ranging company, the first ever regularly enlisted in the service of the old Republic, and was with it in many of those desperate encounters with the Comanches and other Indians, in which Hayes, Walker, McCulloch, and Chevalier gained their reputations as successful Indian fighters. When the Mexican War broke out in 1846, Wallace joined Colonel Hay's regiment of mounted volunteers, and was with it at the storming of Monterey, where he says he took full toll out of the Mexicans for killing his brother and cousin at Goliad in 1836. After the Mexican War ended, he had command of a ranging company for some time, and did good service in protecting the frontiers of the state from the incursions of the savages. Subsequently, he had charge of the mail from San Antonio to El Paso, and though often waylaid and attacked by the Indians, he always brought it through in safety. He is now living upon his little ranch, 30 miles west of San Antonio, where, with true frontier hospitality, he is always ready to welcome the wayfarer to the best he has. The Adventures of Big-Foot Wallace, Chapter 1. In 1867, while temporarily sojourning in the city of San Antonio, I had a severe attack of fever, from the effects of which I recovered but slowly. Thinking that fresh air and exercise would aid me in regaining my health and strength, I mounted my horse one fine morning in the latter part of October and set out for the ranch of my quondam messmate and compadre, Big-Foot Wallace, who held an uncertain tenure upon a tract of pasture land situated on the Chacon, one of the headwaters of the Altascoso. I say uncertain, for his right to and possession of the same is constantly disputed and ignored by predatory bands of savages and Mexicans and horse thieves of all colors, grades, and nations. Toward sundown, from the top of a considerable hill, I came in sight of Wallace's little ranch, snugly ensconced at the bottom of a valley, near the margin of a small lake and protected from the northern blasts by a beautiful grove of spreading live oaks. As I rode up, I discovered Wallace under one of these trees, engaged in the characteristic occupation of skinning a deer, which was hanging head downward suspended from one of its lower branches. Wallace did not recognize me at first, for it was many years since we had last met. But as soon as I made myself known to him, he gave me a cordial shake of the hand and invited me into his ranch, where, in a short time, he prepared a supper, to which I sat down nothing loath, for my appetite was sharpened by my long day's ride. I stayed with Wallace 2 weeks or thereabouts, hunting, fishing, and riding around during the day, and entertained each night with yarns of his numerous scapes and scrapes by flood and field. Many years previously, when Wallace and I were messmates together in the 1st Ranging Company,